Hello and welcome to Miss Sorson's second grade math classroom. This is our first meeting and thank you everyone for coming. The main reason I wanted to hold this meeting was because math has a lot of untrue misconceptions about it. And I'm here to clear a lot of those up and also just kind of tell you about what we'll be doing as far as math goes in my classroom. So, a lot of parents ask, and you may ask, exactly what your little second grader needs to know. I'm not going to give you every single standard that they need to know, that would take all night long, but here are the gist of what your child needs to know. And we'll be learning this all throughout the year. These skills won't come within a week. Each one takes time to practice, build upon, practice some more, and eventually master. So that being said, the first one is addition and subtraction within the numbers of 100. And that, notice how there's no word fluently in front of that. We will be learning that this year. The second one is fluently add and subtract within 20. Your child will also be learning the foundations of multiplication. This does not mean they will be able to times two-digit numbers times another two-digit number by the end of the year. Maybe not even a one-digit number. They are just learning the foundations of multiplication. So basically realizing that a group can be taken times another group. They will realize that two groups will have an equal number of objects within that group, which is just the foundations or the concept of multiplication. Up until this point, they've only learned how to take away from a number or add on to the number. They haven't learned to add groups of a number. Also, place value. That is a huge one for second grade. This year they will learn up to the thousands place value. They won't necessarily do as much with the thousand place value as they will the 100 value or the 10 value. Place value greatly aids in knowing how to do anything beyond second grade. Place value is much more important than you think, and we'll learn that in just a little bit here. Your students will also learn how to measure lengths according to inches, meters, centimeters, all that, and they will learn about the different tools that they can use to measure things. Your child will also be working with time and money. They will learn how to tell AM and PM and tell what time it is, tell what hour it is, what minute it is. As far as money goes, they will be able to count dollars and all the coins under the dollar. Representing and interpreting data. That sounds kind of big for a second grader to do. However, they will work with simple bar graphs and line graphs. Shapes and their characteristics. You may think your child already knows their basic shapes, and they probably do. Triangle, square, circle. However, this year they'll be working with 4 sides, 5 sides, 6 sides. And also connecting to shapes, they will learn the foundations of fractions. To do this, they will learn how to separate the shapes into equal parts. For example, towards the end of the year, we'll be learning how to separate maybe a circle into 3 pieces or 4 pieces. And they will have to choose one piece and say, this is a fourth of the circle, this is a third of the circle. So again, just learning the foundations of fractions. How will I communicate with you? Each teacher communicates with their child's parent differently. However, I'm one that likes to communicate with you through a variety of mediums. I'm a big sucker for authentic communication. So personal letters, I will be sending those Actually, you should have already gotten one. I sent a postcard maybe about a month ago. End of July there, just to introduce myself to your students, to my students, to your children. I will do this once again at Christmas. I don't believe in doing it all the time. That gets kind of too cheesy, but emails. Emails are huge. I want you to email me with a question you may have, a concern, if you want to set up a meeting. I know some teachers sort of stray away from asking parents to ask the redundant questions. I want you to ask me the redundant questions. If you have even one little question on something, I want you to email me. I will answer it as soon as I can, but I will answer it. Phone calls. Phone calls are kind of dreaded by parents because they think they're always negative. No, no, no. I will call you if your child has done something uniquely spectacular in the day, and that can be something as simple as an act of kindness that I've seen. One-on-one meetings with the parent or parent-teacher conferences, and those are scheduled. However, I am willing to do a sort of informal conference whenever the time calls for it. And also meetings with both parent and student to formulate action plans. This could include an IEP. However, we could have also an informal action plan meeting where we just talk about what your students' goals are, where exactly they are. Again, I do this because I'm a huge fan of the authentic communication. And also weekly newsletters. These will not be printed out. These will be on the class website, which I will show you in just a little bit here. And yes, I will have ones in Spanish also. Class website, as I just mentioned. The class website that I have is misssorsen.weebly.com. Don't forget the 3 S's in Miss Sorsen rather than the 2. On there you will find my resume, the weekly newsletters as mentioned before, how-to videos. The how-to videos I will post as needed. If I feel like we're working with a hard concept in MAP, I will post a video of myself doing an example problem. How to contact me, all the numbers and all the emails that you will need will be on this site, and you can also contact me via this site. And each night, I don't know if I will do it every day or every other day, that'll be decided soon, but I will have an hour each night or every other night where I will be available to you if you need to ask me a question, or you're working with your child on their homework and they're stuck on something. I will be right there in that chat box. So I will be right there as soon as you contact me, and we can chat live via that chat box on the school website or my class website. Math manipulatives in my classroom. I will use physical and virtual ones. Virtual ones are basically just physical manipulatives on the computer. They're still very 3D, still very hands-on-ish. You can click around and move them. I use manipulatives because 80% of students are kinesthetic learners, or they love hands-on learning. And it allows children to visually see the math that they are learning. Common ones I'll use in my classroom are big clocks when we're in time, right there. Place value blocks. You can see the 1 cubes, 100 cubes, 10 cubes, tangrams. That will happen when we learn about our shapes. Play money, and physical shapes. Why will it be important for your children and my students to explain their answers? A lot of parents wonder why they have to do this if their child can easily do the problem in their head. It's great that the child can do the problem in their head. However, students need to understand why they're doing the problem, and I also need to see their thinking of the problem. Showing answers has been proven to show understanding of the concept. I'm able to see their live thinking out of their brain, so it's an accurate representation of their thinking. It helps me to informally understand where your student is at in their learning. And if they got the answer wrong, I'm able to see where they made the mistake in their thinking, and we can go back to that certain point. Instead of redoing the entire problem, I can see where they went wrong in their thinking of that problem. What does a typical lesson look like? And this is all of my lessons. I provide a learning target in student-friendly language, so I can do this, or I will be able to add within the number 100 today. I will be able to add 2-digit numbers today. I use the I do, we do, you do format, so I model first, I do. Then I work on an example problem with a student or students, the we do, and then it's the student's turn, you do. And the you do format can take place either independently, in pair work, or group work, depending on what I choose for the day and what concept they are working on. Some lessons may include some sort of assessment. Are there any questions? That's a very good one, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson just explained. Sometimes we don't even use the math we learned when we were little now. What's the point of learning it? I will go back in my slides and just kind of reinforce why we learn math the way we do now. I will say math has definitely changed since you guys were little, and you know that for sure. And because of that, the jobs have changed. The math that's needed for those jobs has changed. Also, we can all admit that we don't do the math that we learned when we were little on a daily basis now. We might add a couple numbers here and there. However, the math that the students learn now, it's not only the problems they learn how to do, it's the way they learn how to think about them. It helps the way they learn to think about the world, conceptually, critically, rather than procedurally, meaning they learn to question things, they learn to use different strategies to do things in life. That I may seem like I'm kind of broadening out from math, but it just reinforces to the students that they may not do the problems, but they will take away the way they were taught how to learn this math, the way they were taught how to think about this math, and use that in other areas of their life. Another question? That's a good one too. Miss Baker over there just said, I heard you will be using an online math class. Do you use the online math class for whole math time? No, we will not use the online math class for the whole math time. I view it more as a support or an aid or a concept reinforcement or a use of practice in my classroom. Alright everyone, thank you for coming. Again, visit the class website